President Trump cruises to victory with a record-breaking Republican turnout.
Trump got more total votes than Obama got as an incumbent.
Republican turnout operation in Texas is extraordinary.
Complete domination.
Receiving more primary votes than any sitting president.
We're winning. We're winning all over.
We have record turnout for an incumbent president.
The Republican Party has never been unified like it is now.
Turnout was also huge for Donald Trump.
President Trump celebrating a record-breaking victory.
It's not even a party, it's a movement.
More than President Obama had by a wide margin.
Let's realize how good Donald Trump's political operation is.
To all Americans tonight, I'm with you, the American people. I am with you, I will fight for you, and I will win for you. And we are going to keep America great.
Hello, and thank you for joining us this evening. My name is Katrina Pearson, and welcome to our first Black Voices for Trump online broadcast. We hope everyone is staying safe, and we want to stay connected with all of you during this challenging time in our nation. Tonight, we will highlight President Trump's extraordinary leadership during this pandemic. Joining us this evening are Black Voices for Trump Advisory Board member, author, and TV commentator from Connecticut, Deneen Borelli. And from Florida, former NFL safety and current professor and executive director of the MyPillow Task Force, Jack Brewer. Welcome to you both, and thanks for joining us.
Hey, Katrina and Jack.
Hey, great to be here.
First, let's talk about the coalition. We've had multiple in-person events since our very successful launch back in October with President Trump in Atlanta, Georgia. And now we have an opportunity to engage even more Black voters through this digital format. So please take this opportunity to share with our viewers what you've been doing during this time of social distancing and why you support President Trump. Deneen, you go first.
Well, sure. Let me just say that with the fake news media, they are making my head spin, and I can't be the only one. And you guys, we all follow this on a regular basis. I need a darn flow chart just to keep up with the lies and the nonsense that they're throwing out there to the public. And I know we're going to get into that later in our discussion. But thank goodness for the Trump coalition online events, because that is bringing some sanity into my world. I'm learning things and I'm able to feel like I'm on top of what's going on. And we're getting the facts and information from these online events, which I think have been great. There's also the Frank Pavone, the Father Frank Pavone masses. That has been very helpful for me. My husband, Tom, and I, we've been tuning in every day on a regular basis. Unfortunately, we can't get to church like we used to. So I find those comforting for me as well. But to answer your question, why am I involved with Black Voices for Trump? Katrina and Jack, it is so important for us to get the facts out there. Remember, within the Black community, there is this echo chamber of lies that if you're Black, you need special treatment, that Republicans are racist and all this other nonsense. I've been hearing this for many, many years, and I am tired of it. So with this coalition, we are able to get the truth out, get the facts out. We're able to recruit people, educate them, train them, and they are able to do and to participate as well, because we are in this together. We are all on the front lines, and it is so important to get the facts and the truth out to voters, because this is going to be a really important election coming up, and I'm grateful to be a part of this coalition. And I support President Trump because of his America First agenda, safety, security, economic prosperity for Americans. That's why I support President Trump.
Thank you, Deneen. And Jack?
For me, it starts with service, and it starts with God. And I think, this president, he really represents both of those things. And for me, he's really made my service go to another level. I've been working tirelessly all my life in communities across America, inner city communities, and with the poorest Black populations on the planet. And so to watch this president pass so many policies that are uplifting the poorest of the poor and uplifting, those lower middle class and middle class families across this nation, I have to give credit where credit is due. Right now, I am in the middle of a major relief effort. We're working alongside the White House task force, working alongside so many different hospitals, frontline workers, and folks as we try to get PPE through the MyPillow task force. So my days are long. But I've been working 20-hour days, just trying to help our fellow Americans. And because of President Trump, we're able to do that. The public-private partnerships that are happening in our country right now, while we're going through this, have been incredible. You got business sectors completely changing over what they're manufacturing and producing, and their whole entire focus is going into helping, our brothers and sisters on the front lines. And that's what we're doing at MyPillow. And I just have to give President Trump his credit for that, because he really is making this thing possible.
We're going to take a quick break. And when we return, we're going to talk about the fake news media and how they're doing everything they possibly can to distort the truth about President Trump's accomplishments. We'll be right back.
Text Trump to 88022. Text Trump to 88022.
Welcome back to the Black Voices for Trump online broadcast, and we're discussing President Trump's leadership with Deneen Borelli and Jack Brewer. Deneen, this one's for you. We were just talking about how the media is constantly downplaying the president's accomplishments, and it appears, likely strategically, that they ramp up these attacks on the president, his family, and supporters to distract from all the successes and accomplishments that you and Jack are speaking of. And there seems to be no boundaries whatsoever, whether it be professional, political, or personal, when it comes to their hate and disgust for the president and his supporters and America in general. This Trump derangement syndrome allows for a magnitude of misinformation, and fake news truly is the enemy of the people, and we're witnessing it right now. Deneen, would you mind helping to clear up any confusion about what exactly President Trump has done during this pandemic?
Well, sure. When you talk about the fake news, really, they are doing a disservice to our country, Katrina and Jack. And there's no accountability. No one is held responsible, which is really a shame. But they are trying everything they can to take down this president, take down this administration, from impeachment to Russia. And now they're opening up investigations, the Democrats are, over the president's response to the coronavirus. And look, the president responded immediately. This was in January. There was the task force that was initiated, and that is led by Vice President Mike Pence. There's also the daily news briefings that are going on a regular basis from the president and the task force. And the media hates it. They hate it because the president is able to communicate directly to Americans. They hate these briefings. They hate when he's on Twitter, and their heads are exploding on a daily basis. Look, the response has been a great effort on this administration, by the administration. And we're seeing the millions of equipment that is being delivered, the medical equipment that is greatly needed across the country, whether it's masks, gloves, the ventilators, you name it. The products and the equipment is being distributed across the country, but you wouldn't know it coming from the fake news media. And here's another thing that's really interesting. Some of these news hosts, they don't want these press briefings to even take place. They either want them to, their networks to not report on them, or to just ignore them in general, as a whole, which is really telling, because that just shows how desperate they are. And that also shows that the administration is making a really great effort in terms of getting the information out and getting the news out to the public. And don't forget, not long ago, anti-Trump media, they were demanding these daily briefings from the White House, right? And now all of a sudden, they're doing an about face. So go figure.
Yeah, it is truly amazing to sort of watch this unfold, and the end of journalism, really. And Jack, you've actually had a personal experience recently with the fake news. Why don't you share with our audience what happened?
Well, I was humbled that President Trump invited me to the White House for Black History Month, to celebrate Black History Month. But, as I said before, I've literally dedicated my life to serving Black people. And so for me, it was an accomplishment, and I was proud of that moment. And then I go there and I call President Trump the first Black president, and I acknowledge the fact that he is the first president to actually have an African-American focused agenda. And I was just slammed by the media. I was called an Uncle Tom by numerous people, including Keith Boykin from CNN, D.L. Hughley, Snoop Dogg, all these people. And you look back and you listen to the language that they speak to our children. You look at what they put out into the atmosphere for our kids to look up to, and for them to have the audacity to really come at me and to call me names and to slander my name. It really shows what the fake news media is all about. They continue to promote that. They promoted me as someone who was actually against the best interest of Black America, when anyone who knows me or anyone who's kept up with me knows that the opposite is true. And so this is really a highlight of what really happens and what the left does. They use identity. They use identity to divide us. They want us to go back to race. They want us to identify ourselves through the color of our skin and not through the context of our character, not through the context of our actual deeds and the work that we do with our hands. You see, they play off of Blacks' emotions. And that's exactly what they did. They got Blacks all emotional all around America. And what did it do? It diverted from the truth, right? They stopped talking about the fact that Donald Trump is actually the one to start letting African Americans out of prison who shouldn't be there. It deferred from the truth about education and how Donald Trump is standing for school choice and all the things that he's doing for HBCUs and Black Americans. It diverted from the truth on what he's doing to help finance Black businesses and what's happening in our economy to help Black America. See, when they do that, they know it's a diversion tactic. And it's what they continue to play on. And that is what the Black news media, that's what the fake news media is doing, being fake news.
Well, yeah, and I was just shocked at the response you received as someone who does so much for the Black community, does so much for men and women in prison. And then you have the people, on the left in Hollywood and in the media berating you and insulting you. And it's just, the irony is just astounding, because they're the ones that are putting Black people in jail and keeping them there, while you and President Trump are trying to support Black people and make sure that they either can get out or don't end up there in the first place. But this is why we don't have nice things. But you two, go ahead, Jack.
I don't want to interrupt, because I know we have a agenda to keep here.
No, we're here for you.
I just got to say, and I'm trying to keep it real to everybody that's watching. Look around your communities. Look at who's running your cities. Look at your mayors. Look at your city council. Look at your school boards, right? We are electing these Democrats into our communities, and they're not sticking up for our people. They're pushing these welfare policies, and they're pushing these policies upon us that are going to make us dependent upon the government. And that is just not what Black America should be about. Black America should be about building our families, right? These policies, these old policies, these democratic policies are breaking up our family units, right? Our mothers shouldn't get kicked off of welfare because they get married, right? And they shouldn't be incentivizing, our single mothers to keep WIC and keep the man out of the home. All these things go back, and they're deeply rooted in our societies. And it goes all the way down to the individual city levels. I'm telling you guys, I am out here working to provide PPE right now to so many cities and towns around here that were just not prepared. And now they're blaming the federal government for something that these local cities and states should have been doing. It is not President Trump's fault. We have to wake up.
Not only do we have to wake up, but we have to actually see what's going on. As you mentioned, separating Black families, yet going to bat, fighting for keeping illegal alien families together. But we digress. So while the Democrats have been really focused on this downward spiral of radicalism and, being focused on Russiagate, Callgate, impeachment, and making sure that they themselves and their special interests are well served by the citizen taxpayers, The president was finally able to get the CARES relief package passed, and part of that package was the Paycheck Protection Program. Deneen, would you mind navigating our viewers through this?
Well, sure. And listen, this was a really great initiative to help all Americans. But with the Paycheck Protection Plan, this will help small businesses, and small businesses are the backbone of our economy. So we're talking about contractors, sole proprietors, small business owners, even nonprofit organizations. So they are able to get this relief to perhaps help with payroll or benefits. And there is a website that folks can go to, and that is sba.senate.gov. And there is a guide there to help Americans through all of this. There are questions and answers there to help guide folks through this. Some of this can be confusing or intimidating, but I think this information that's on the website lays it out very nicely for folks, for them to get the relief that they need, because we got to get our businesses and our companies up and running and operating. Our economy depends on it. American families depend on it. And so this is something that was implemented. It's been passed, and folks can sign up now and try to get that relief now that they need for their small businesses, which is great.
Well, yeah, and if you have not signed up now, you can also go to sba.gov/coronavirus for the application. And let's just also highlight some of the campaign's internal polling, which shows huge support for President Trump's leadership. The campaign recently released data from an internal survey that says that Americans are responding very favorably to the president's response to this pandemic by 63%. 89% of Americans support the extension of the social distancing guidelines, and 84% are watching all or some of the daily briefings. So I think that it's safe to say the president is doing a really good job for the American public. So stay tuned, because when we return, we're going to get down to business.
Text Trump to 88022 to keep America great.
Welcome back to the Black Voices for Trump online broadcast with Deneen Borelli and Jack Brewer. Jack, you're a businessman, and we've heard a lot about the pandemic and how it's impacted Black and brown business owners. How will this package assist with their businesses?
Greatly. It's assisting with my business. I'm an investor and owner of a healthcare facility for seniors down here in South Florida. And, we've been hit. We were forced to close down. We have all senior population that are over 65 years old. And so it has been a stress on our business. But, what the president did was unprecedented. Now we can go and we're saving our workforce by being able to go right in to the bank and get those funds to cover the payroll. We're able to get SBA loans to help us cover our rent. And so these are the things that are going to keep Black businesses going. And Katrina, I think it's very important for people to understand that not just from the corona epidemic, but what the Trump administration had already done during the last really 3 years. In 2019 alone, the SBA gave Black women-owned business in America over $330 million to fund their businesses. And just in the Southeast last year, they gave over $220 million to Black businesses. And so, President Trump has really made it a priority. And I talked about that Black agenda that led me to call him the first Black president. That Black agenda is actually uplifting Black America, and that starts with our Black businesses. And so, I can tell you right now, I'm doing it firsthand. A lot of people talk, but I'm experiencing this. And so no one can tell me what the benefits are of President Trump's policies or what they really look like. One, I actually read the policies. I actually go in and read the SBA, which I recommend that everyone that's tuning in right now actually go in and read policies. Don't listen to what you hear in the media. Read it for yourself. Go onto the .gov websites and actually see what this administration is doing. Because I can tell you, I'm living it firsthand. The things that he's doing for Black America are unprecedented. And so, I applaud him. for all the efforts to keep continuing to support Black businesses because it's working.
Absolutely. And now more than ever, it is critical to get the president's